you've probably heard it before, you're just too nice. And maybe you've shrugged it off, because being kind is a good thing, right? It means you care. You listen. You show up. But here's something no one tells you loud enough: narcissists love women like you. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your kindness, your patience, your deep desire to make peace, they see that as an opening. Not a connection. An opportunity. Let's talk about why. If you've ever thought, how did I end up in this kind of relationship again? You're not alone. Especially if you grew up being the peacemaker. The one who kept the family calm. The one who learned early on to put everyone else first and not rock the boat. That role trains you to tolerate things. To explain away red flags. To hope your love will be enough to fix someone who keeps hurting you. Narcissists look for that. They look for the woman who'll give them the benefit of the doubt over and over again. One trait they're drawn to? Your deep empathy. You don't just see someone's pain, you feel it. And because of that, you end up excusing a lot. He's just stressed. She had a hard childhood. They didn't mean to snap. You're always finding reasons for their behavior, but not giving yourself the same grace. And then, slowly, you start to disappear. You stop expressing what you need, because you don't want to be difficult. You brush off that pit in your stomach, that inner voice saying, "This isn't okay." Because maybe you were taught not to complain. Not to cause trouble. To be the bigger person. But let me say this gently and clearly: being the bigger person doesn't mean shrinking yourself until there's nothing left. Here's another thing they target: your loyalty. You don't give up on people easily. Even when they show you their worst. Even when they twist your words, disappear emotionally, or make you feel like you're too much for wanting basic respect. You hang in there. You try harder. You give more. And they know it. Narcissists often test the limits. They'll start with small things: ignoring a boundary, making a backhanded comment, withdrawing affection when you say no. And when you don't push back? That's a green light to them. It's not because you're weak. It's because you were never taught that saying no is loving yourself. That silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it's survival. You might even tell yourself, "I should be able to handle this. I've handled worse." But you shouldn't have to. You deserve to be met with care, not manipulation. With respect, not quiet control. Let's keep going. There's more I want to share about why your strengths have been turned against you, and how to gently start taking your power back. Let's talk about the next trait. And this one's big. You give people the benefit of the doubt, over and over. You see the good in people. You believe in second chances. Maybe even third or fourth. And that comes from such a warm, open-hearted place. But narcissists use it like a loophole. They lie, twist, guilt-trip, and then expect you to smooth it all over because, well, they're just going through a hard time, right? You tell yourself, maybe they didn't mean it that way. Maybe I misunderstood. And suddenly, you're bending yourself in circles trying to stay kind, while they get away with more and more. Here's the truth: empathy without boundaries turns into self-abandonment. It's not that you're too trusting. It's that they're too deceptive. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. And you're not naive. You've just been taught to be loyal, even when it hurts. So here's something gentle to remember when you're feeling torn. Kindness doesn't mean staying silent when someone crosses the line. It means being honest with yourself about what you're feeling. The next trait? You hate conflict. You keep the peace. You'd rather stay quiet than make a scene. You were probably the emotional caretaker growing up, maybe in your family, or even later, in your marriage or at work. You've learned that keeping others happy is safer than speaking your truth. But narcissists? They see that fear of conflict, and use it. They don't yell. They don't always have to. They just give you the cold shoulder. Or the guilt trip. Or the silent look that says, "How dare you upset me?" And because you hate tension, you cave. You apologize. You fix it. Even when it wasn't your fault. That pattern becomes so automatic, you don't even realize it's happening, until you're constantly shrinking yourself to avoid their next emotional storm. If that's resonating, take a breath with me right now. You're allowed to say what you need. Even if it ruffles feathers. Even if they don't like it. Your nervous system might panic at first, but peace doesn't come from pleasing them. It comes from honoring you. Here's a gentle tool for when the guilt creeps in. Instead of asking, did I upset them? Try asking, did I betray myself to keep them calm? That small shift, it's powerful. Let's look at another trait narcissists look for. You take responsibility for other people's feelings. If someone's upset, you jump in. You listen, you soothe, you fix. And again, that comes from such a good place. Your heart is big. You care deeply. But here's what happens, a narcissist will let you take that emotional load. And then blame you if they're still unhappy. They'll say things like, you made me feel like this. Or if you really loved me, you wouldn't have said that. And suddenly, their emotions are your fault. Their moods become your problem to solve. It's exhausting. And it's not fair. You are not responsible for managing someone else's insecurities. You can care, without carrying. And if you've been told over and over that you're too much, too emotional, or too sensitive, I want you to know this. Those traits they criticized? That sensitivity, that empathy, that softness? They're your superpowers. They just weren't safe in that relationship. It's not your niceness that's the problem. It's the way manipulative people twist it to serve themselves. And the beautiful thing is, you can stay kind and be clear. You can be warm and have boundaries. You can love deeply and say no when something doesn't feel right. You don't have to become hard or bitter to protect yourself. You just have to become more loyal to your own peace. Let that sink in for a moment. And when you're ready, we'll talk about the final pieces in this pattern, and how to gently reclaim your power, one small step at a time. There's one more trait we need to talk about. And it's often the hardest one to admit, because it hides behind strength. You're deeply self-reliant. You handle things. You get things done. You don't want to burden anyone. You'd rather push through quietly than ask for help. And chances are, you've done that your whole life, for your kids, your partner, your coworkers. You've been the dependable one. The strong one. Even when you were falling apart inside. And here's where it gets complicated, narcissists are drawn to that strength. Not because they admire it, but because they know you won't ask for more. You won't make waves. You won't demand attention. You'll carry the relationship, emotionally, mentally, sometimes even financially, because that's what you've always done. They take and take. And you give, thinking, if I can just hold it all together, maybe things will get better. But what if I told you, you're not meant to hold it all alone? Even strong women need support. Especially strong women. And needing help doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Now, the last trait may surprise you. You believe in love. Real love. Lasting love. You want connection, safety, honesty. Not fairy tales, just something real. You believe people can grow. You believe in redemption. And that's not foolish. That's beautiful. But narcissists? They sense that longing, and use it as bait. At first, they mirror everything you want, attention, affection, shared dreams. It feels like connection. But it's control in disguise. Because once they've pulled you in, the mask slips. And suddenly, you're doing all the work. They give less, expect more, and accuse you of being too needy when you ask for basic respect. It's not that you asked for too much. It's that they offered more than they ever planned to give, just to hook you. That wasn't your fault. That was manipulation. But here's the truth they never want you to know. You are not too emotional. You are not asking for too much. You are not the problem because you want consistency, honesty, and love that feels safe. Those are bare minimums, not burdens. And you don't have to stop being kind, loyal, loving, or generous. You just have to stop offering those things to people who exploit them. Your softness is still yours. Your light, it's not gone. It may be dimmed, but it's not broken. So if you're sitting here wondering how you got caught in a toxic cycle, if you're feeling shame for being too nice or too trusting, let that go. You didn't fail. You loved. You hoped. You tried. And now, you're learning. You're waking up. And that is powerful. You deserve a life that feels calm, not chaotic. You deserve relationships where your needs aren't seen as inconvenient. You deserve love that doesn't leave you second-guessing yourself every day. It's not too late. Not at 40. Not at 60. Not ever. So if this spoke to you, share your thoughts in the comments. You never know who needs to hear your story, too. And if no one's told you today, you're not too much. You're just finally too wise to settle for less.